What's up, guys? Chase Oliver here, bringing you UFC 171 live from Dallas, Texas. As we had a new welterweight champion being crowned, a bunch of welterweight fights to decide who may fight that UFC welterweight champion one day. And now let's just get started. As the opening bout featured Obets St. Preux versus Nikita Krylov. And these two are pretty much up-and-coming light heavyweights. Krylov used to be a heavyweight that cut down to light heavyweight, so it was interesting because his first light heavyweight bout, he had a dominating first round KO against some dude that I cannot remember at this time. So it was going to be an interesting fight, and St. Preux, or OSP as a lot of people call him, is a very interesting talent. So this was a good fight to start off the card. I had no problem with it. OSP pretty much dominated most of this fight. Krylov was trying to go for a guillotine, even though he wasn't even in a position to get a guillotine, but he was trying for it anyway. And then St. Preux was like, oh man, this poor little white dude, let me just do a weird-ass submission no one has seen before. He does the weird-ass submission, and I was confused watching this at first. I didn't even know what the hell was going on. Then Dan Murgliata, he's like, all right, it's over. And I was like, what? What happened? I was like, did OSP tap? I didn't see anything. I was confused, and then I see Krylov just like, and I'm just like, damn. OSP pulled up a rare submission that you barely see inside of the octagon. And in all honesty, I cannot wait to see more OSP fights. This guy has a bright future in the MMA. I don't know how good his striking is, really, to be honest, when it comes down to it. I know he has knocked out some guys, but I'm talking about against the elite level light heavyweight guys. Not elite level, probably mid-level light heavyweight guys. So I don't know how well his striking is. I didn't really get to see much of it in this fight. But in all honesty, I was impressed with OSP's performance. Hector Lombard took on Jake Shields. Oh, God. Hector Lombard lives up to his nickname, Lightning, because he fights like how lightning acts. If you take any fucking geometry or whatever the fucking class it is where you study clouds and shit, astronomy, is that it? If you take any class that studies weather, radiology, whatever the fuck it's called, you would know lightning barely strikes. And that's what Hector Lombard does. He barely strikes. He looks good every once in a while. Lightning looks cool when you see it strike down. That's what Hector Lombard is. He looks cool when he's fighting sometimes, and then he just gets lazy and lethargic, and he just, oh, God. I mean, this dude is an intimidating force. When you see Hector Lombard, you're just like, damn, I wouldn't want to fuck with that guy. And then after when you see him fight, it's just so sad. Jake Shields was trying to fight off his back for most of the fight. He was getting ragdolled, getting his ass kicked. He didn't even look good in this whole fight. And Jake Shields at the end of the third round, at the end of the fight actually, to be honest, was trying to go for a last-minute guillotine. And I actually thought, oh, fuck, this would be so embarrassing for Hector Lombard if Jake Shields makes him tap here. Did not even happen. Jake Shields loses this fight. Hector Lombard does not deserve a shot at the welterweight championship. Let's move on forward to Myles Jury. Yes, I'm correct on that name, Myles Jury. I almost said a wrong name, but I was correct. Myles Jury taking on Diego Sanchez. I love the little promo video beforehand where Diego Sanchez is like, well, I'm just going to turn the cage into a street if he thinks I'm a street fighter. And Myles Jury's like, you know, I don't really respect Diego Sanchez all that much, so I'm just going to kick his ass. And Myles Jury dominated most of this fight. Diego could not get anything really going at all. And I was saying to myself, well, wait until the third round. That's when Diego Sanchez shines, because in the third round of his last couple fights, if you know anything, Diego Sanchez has come close to winning a lot of fights. And if Diego Sanchez was in more 5-round fights, I'm pretty sure he would have a better record in the UFC, that's for sure. But Jury versus Sanchez was not an entertaining fight. Not as entertaining as most people expected it to be. Jury dominated. I was impressed of how Jury controlled this fight, but I wasn't impressed that Jury did not try to finish Diego Sanchez here. And in all honesty, this is how you do it in the UFC. This is how you get title shots. You have to finish opponents. You cannot just look, oh, look at me, I'm fancy, blah, blah, blah. It works when you're a champion. When you're a champion, you can do whatever the fuck you want because you're trying to keep that championship gold around your waist, over your shoulder, however the hell the champion wants to wear it. That works for champions. Not for guys trying to climb the ladder to a championship. And in my opinion, Myles Jury is a great talent and someone that is definitely, with an undefeated record, really good-looking dude, someone that has the ability in striking to probably move up the lightweight ranks. If he doesn't get some knockouts under his resume against top-level guys like Diego Sanchez, and the list can go on and on, it ain't going to look good for Myles Jury. He'll just build up a bunch of wins, kind of like how John Fitch, everyone remember John Fitch. He never finished, guys, but he got a bunch of wins, and that earned him, what, one UFC welterweight title fight? Just one. And then when he finally lost, No one talked about John Fitch anymore. No one was like, "Oh, give John Fitch the title shot." Nope, the other guy got the title shot. You have to finish fights in the UFC to get to the next level. And Myles Jury, I was disappointed because I saw 2 times in this fight where he could have finished off Diego Sanchez, and I wish he did to really send a statement and say, "Hey, I'm the new young lightweight here. Hey, I'm here to stay. You better watch out for my name because I'm going to be on a bunch of main pay-per-view cards and I'm going to be main eventing soon for that lightweight title." That's what I want to see from Myles Jury tonight. He didn't really deliver. Still a dominant performance. Congratulations on him to the win. But if he wants to climb that ladder of success, you got to start finishing people. And that's just the bottom line in the UFC. All right, let's move on forward to Tyron Woodley taking on Carlos Condit, our co-main event of the evening. Now, I was saying to myself, Carlos Condit was going to dominate this fight. Tyron Woodley was not supposed to have this fight. Originally, Nick Diaz was supposed to fight Carlos Condit again. And of course, Nick Diaz being Nick Diaz was like, "No, homie, I ain't going to accept that fight. I don't accept fucking chunk change fights. I only want to fight for the belt." So Nick Diaz was not going to accept this fight whatsoever. So Tyron Woodley really, really wants this fight. He stepped up to it, and I felt he delivered on his performance. Now, the first round was really, really close between these two. I don't know how you would grade it, but I felt Tyron Woodley won that first round based off the 2 takedowns that he got on Carlos Condit. But in all honesty, I felt Tyron Woodley looked good in this fight, and Carlos Condit looked really good too. And I just said, well, I have to see what happens in the third round because Tyron Woodley was definitely looking gassed. And Carlos Condit, the thing about him is he has excellent conditioning. This guy is a machine. He is someone that doesn't tire out easily. And I was looking forward to a third round collision between these guys because I figured it might go to the third round. In the second round, it kind of was looking like the first round, except Condit was looking more free, looking more open, until Tyron Woodley hit a nice little double. Condit kind of winced a little bit. Afterwards, no action was being done. Woodley, I think he was doing this on purpose. He was saying, "Oh, I know he's hurt. I got to get this fight up. I'm not going to do anything." And Carlos Condit was just fighting from the bottom, trying to keep the action going. And then all of a sudden, the referee stand up. Condit looked fine. It didn't look like anything serious. Woodley, first, second chance he got, he was like, "Okay, I'm attacking that bad knee right now." Whoop! Condit hurt his knee. Terrible sight to see if you're a Carlos Condit fan. It sucks what happened to Carlos Condit because he was the number 2 welterweight in the world. Definitely the guy, if he would have won this fight, no questions asked, he was going to fight the winner of Hendricks versus Lawler. He was going to fight for the welterweight championship. But then this shit happens to him. And it's sad to see, but really, to be honest, great move by Tyron Woodley. It was a great move by Tyron Woodley. And I know a lot of people are going to say, he didn't really win this fight. It was because of a leg injury. Well, to the people who defended Chris Weidman and said Weidman was winning the Anderson fight, which Weidman was, and that Weidman did win against Anderson the second time, I say the same thing for Tyron Woodley. Tyron Woodley was winning this fight, in my personal opinion, based off what he was doing, and Tyron Woodley did beat Carlos Condit via TKO. Great win for Tyron Woodley. I don't think he's ready for the title shot yet. Oh, no, I'm not saying this guy deserves a title shot. But what I am saying is the future looks bright for the welterweight division with a guy like Tyron Woodley. And I'm glad that this guy is just ready to fight again. And, hey, I can't wait to see Tyron Woodley fight again. Time for the main event. Fucking great main event. This is a fight you have to see between Johny Hendricks and Robbie Lawler. It doesn't matter who you were rooting for in this fight. We were all winners watching this. Robbie Lawler pretty much made it known. I'm not leaving unless I'm knocked the fuck out or I knock him out. I don't want to leave this up in the judges' hands. It did go to the judges' decision, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. Robbie Lawler came to fucking fight. And for me being a longtime MMA fan, and I believe it was in the 3rd or 4th round where Hendricks was really wobbly and looked like Lawler was just going to destroy him, I was really, really hoping that Robbie Lawler would knock out Johny Hendricks in that round. And here's my reasoning. Here's a Robbie Lawler whose last fight in the UFC before coming back to UFC was in 2004 against the late great Evan Tanner. Ever since then, this young 20-year-old kid went on to fight all over the world. And he didn't get back to the UFC until UFC purchased Strikeforce and they finally merged Strikeforce with the UFC, thus taking on Robbie Lawler. Robbie Lawler knew, because he didn't have a really great career at Strikeforce, he had a standard career at best. Robbie Lawler knew if he would have lost his next fight, he was gone. And so what did Robbie Lawler do? He freaking knocked out whoever he fought. 2 straight knockouts and an impressive upset win over Rory MacDonald. Robbie Lawler freaking deserved and earned his spot. And that's why I was talking about with Myles Jury. Hey, if you want to get to that title position, look at what Robbie Lawler did. It only took 2 knockouts and an upset win for him to be in this position. And for me, even though I was rooting for Hendricks because I felt Hendricks should have became the welterweight champion if it wasn't based off dumb scoring by the judges and how judges score shit, I wanted Johny Hendricks to win. But for me as an MMA fan and seeing Robbie Lawler and seeing what he had to go through throughout his career, a little bit inside of me would have not given a 2 shits if Robbie Lawler knocked out Johny Hendricks and became the welterweight champion. And I was actually cheering for him in the 3rd and 4th round. I was hoping in the 5th round because it would have just been a great moment for people who have watched MMA for a long time and watched Robbie Lawler when he was a young 20-year-old kid inside of the UFC and followed his career ever since, just to see him reach upon the mountaintop. That would have been fucking awesome. But I digress. This fight is fucking awesome. These guys just go out and punch each other. That's all they do. Hendricks tries to go for takedowns. Does not really succeed. This fight goes dead even. First 2 rounds won by Hendrick. Last 2 rounds won by 3rd and 4th won by Lawler. And then we leave it up to the 5th and final round where it was anyone's ball game. And at the end of the day, Hendricks secured the takedown of his life and became the new UFC welterweight champion. In all honesty, I have no disagreements. This is a great fight. Go watch this fight. Congratulations to Johny Hendricks for winning the championship. Finally, you get your belt. And I cannot wait to see when Robbie Lawler versus Johny Hendricks fight again, because that fight was fucking awesome. And I'm just happy to see Robbie Lawler put on a great performance in a championship fight. And I hope Robbie Lawler keeps dominating in his new resurgence in the UFC. Robbie Lawler is still in his prime. He's still in his prime. And I'm very, very happy about what I saw tonight. This was one of the best fights of this young year of MMA. There's a bunch more MMA fights in 2014. Bunch more cards. But this is definitely one of the best fights of the year. Really, really enjoyed it. Go watch it if you haven't. Johny Hendricks, new UFC welterweight champion. Overall, this card is not exciting. Don't expect this card to blow you away. The co-main and the main event are the 2 fights I would suggest you would watch. Johny Hendricks is my MVP. And submission of the night goes to OSP. That's it for me, ChaseOliver68. If you guys like me, you can comment down below your thoughts on the card. Subscribe to me if you haven't. Like this video, dislike this video, do whatever you want with this video. Check out my website, chillinwithchase.wordpress.com. And follow me on Twitter at ChaseOliver68. And if you want, you can Snapchat me, ChaseOliver68. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, Chase_C_Oliver. All of that information will be down below. I'll see you all next time. Peace!